My name is Gianna Hernandez Mendez. I grew up in Puerto Rico. I work as a biology professor for the Santa Fe Community College located in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So, as a biology professor, my main responsibilities is to teach biology to students that are coming through the community college. That involves lecturing, that involves giving them a little bit of a taste of what it's like to be a scientist, and basically preparing anyone that might be interested in biology for what they might find out there, be it going into a biology based career or just if they're curious about biology, how to interact with their world in a better way with an understanding of biological processes. So, some of the things that I do that aren't strictly, I guess, biology professor oriented, but they really are biology professor oriented, is I'm constantly um, looking for ways to better deliver my class. So be it contacting experts in different fields. For instance, I have colleagues that are working at the NIH in genetics, so I would contact them, ask questions. Just trying to make sure that what I deliver is the best possible material and that we're talking about all of the latest developments in science. Back to my childhood, I was a bit of a feral child. My mom was a marine biologist, so ever since before I could talk, there's pictures of me on surfboards, going to mangrove islands and playing and basically playing in nature. So I would collect little leaves, I would collect seashells. I was constantly outdoors and learning things. I would try to taste anemones and roots. Like I was a very feral child in that sense, and I grew up basically on the water for a lot of my life. So I was always exposed to the natural sciences. Um, Later, as I grew up, I knew that I wanted to be some kind of scientist, but I also wanted to learn how to draw and how to do art. So I kind of found like my niche that way, learning how to observe nature through art and also then, you know, so that I could do science as well. My initial, I guess, venture into science was through geology. So I have my bachelor's degree is actually in geological sciences, and then my master's is in volcanology. So I spent a huge chunk of my undergrad outdoors mapping and just learning about geology. And then later, during my master's, I realized that geology is awesome and I love it, but I also wanted to learn more about the human brain. So I kind of did a 360 and went from a master's in geology to my PhD in neural immunology. Also, through that entire time, I knew that I wanted to go into teaching. So I also did graduate teaching research as well on the side. I was super lucky. Immediately upon graduating, I was able to find a job teaching as a visiting professor at a local university in Wisconsin where I got my PhD. Within 2 years, I was able to find the position at the Santa Fe Community College. So it was pretty transparent. It was a good move from right out of grad school. I was able to do the teaching that I wanted to do, and then within 2 years, I had like my permanent teaching faculty position at Santa Fe. So my high school experience was pretty interesting. I was actually part of a specialized school that besides doing, say, your math classes, your Spanish, here in Puerto Rico we do Spanish, English, social studies, history, and all those things, we were also required to do 3 hours a day of visual arts. So in my particular case, I was doing drawing and painting. So besides just taking my regular coursework, I was also getting basically a degree in art. So during high school, a lot of my focus was on perfecting that particular talent, which was great because as an artist, one of the things that you're taught to do is how to observe. So how to look at something and see the shadow and see the nuance and see how the colors will change on it so that you can actually translate that from an object that is 3D to something that is flat in a painting, but you still give it that volume, that color, that shade. It was a great way to go from being taught how to look at something and being patient and working really hard to going into the sciences where I now had an eye for things and how to notice detail and how to see subtle changes in my work. Never give up. If you want something, you work for it and you go for it. And there's going to be hurdles along the way, and life is going to take different paths. Again, I was doing visual arts in high school, and then I went into geology, and then I went into neuroscience. So life will take detours and different paths, but I've always known that I wanted to teach, and I've always known that I love science. So even if you have to take a slightly different path, when you want something, you go for it and you work for it and you just dedicate yourself to that and you'll get it.